we live in a day and age where the news cycles are so damn fast that some of the most important stories are overshadowed by, today's momentary news. And so I thought to myself, let's go back and revisit a case which I believe is one of the most important current cases, especially when it comes to like social dynamics and where we currently are when it comes to that as a nation, as well as probably globally at this point. And that is the case between Karmelo Anthony, a young man who took the life of another young man unprovoked. And that's what most of the evidence is now showing, including video footage that has now been at least reviewed by police enforcement or law enforcement. I think the potential jurors have already kind of gotten their hands on this footage, etc. But anyway, I just wanted to get an update as far as where we are with that case, and then, get kind of what the response and the reaction is to this. Because to me, this is one of those O.J. Simpson sort of trials. Like I make a kind of similar case for both. At least I did in an old TikTok video, drawing the parallels of the reaction of black folks when, a black man who is likely guilty of a heinous crime towards a white individual ends up becoming almost deified in a way. They're celebrated. They're held up as this representation of finally we get some justice, even though they're the ones who took somebody else's life. And then on the other side, we have, the demonizing of the victim. This is true victim blaming. And I don't like to use that terminology a lot, but this is the truest version of victim blaming that I've seen in a very long time. Like a young man who is no longer alive because this other young man is villainized by the perpetrator. And of course, the cult-like following. And this is, again, tying into where we are with the racial dynamics and how far this propaganda has pushed this race baiting. So anyway, that being said, let's get into this little catch up. And then I'm going to get into somebody's perspective that is currently going viral on the other side.
We have confirmed with Collin County authorities that an indictment of first-degree murder has been handed down by a grand jury against Karmelo Anthony. The 17-year-old Frisco High School student has been free on bond since this incident on April 2nd. We are also waiting for reaction or a statement from his attorney and family spokesperson. The father of Austin Metcalf, who was Jeff Metcalf, tells me in a statement he is, quote, "just glad that the process is moving forward, and I look forward to the trial now," end quote. We are also expecting a statement from Collin County District Attorney Greg Willis, whose office will prosecute this case. A first-degree murder charge carries with it a possible sentence of 5 up to 99 years or life in prison if convicted. Anthony claims...
Okay, 5 to 99 is insane. Now, I believe something like this, if he is found to be guilty of the charges that they have placed against him, that deserves more than 5 years. I actually believe that if you are somebody who has taken somebody else's life unprovoked in this sort of way, 25 to life. That sounds rootless to some, but there were societies, and might even be some within the country today, who believe that you should have your life taken. So 25 to life seems like a very good deal in comparison to that chair or that syringe or back in the day, that guillotine.
He stabbed Metcalf in self-defense during an altercation that preceded the stabbing. Now, the next step in this legal process is the assigning of a judge who will then set an initial appearance date. And that initial appearance date for Karmelo Anthony could be, I'm told, days, weeks, or even months down the road. And a trial date won't be set before 2026. I'm JD Miles, reporting.
They're trying to push this well into next year. Okay. Yeah, they're really trying to gear themselves up, because I think it's known what's going to happen once all the actual evidence is presented to the public and we start to see this trial unfold, which is the fact that a young black man has been celebrated for taking the life of a young white man. That's the story. And we're in a place now where people are sick and tired. It's beyond just this quote unquote black fatigue or ghetto fatigue, etc. It's beyond fatigue. At this point, we're getting to where it's going to be a backlash and it's not going to be good. I don't want that. I actually don't want a race war or anything of that nature. I would rather have us just, kind of create delineations, separation of them and us. Those who want that savage way of living, the baboon way of living, and those who want to live as humans and to continue to evolve in our humanness and to continue to be connected to our source, to connected to God, as opposed to, becoming more and more hellish and devilish in our ways. So that being said, I just want to go into this video right here. I've not watched the totality of it, but I know that it is currently going viral for what some would probably say all the wrong reasons. So let's get into this.
I get on the fucking TikTok today and I see like 10 videos straight of motherfuckers talking about some where all the Karmelo supporters at, where the Karmelo supporters at, his ass finna go to jail for life, he's finna rot in jail. I told y'all boys he wasn't innocent. I'm thinking the motherfucking video out. The video not even out yet. The video is released, but it's only shown to a select handful of people in the court of law, but ain't no fucking judge or no fucking jury determine a fucking verdict yet or no fucking sentence. So what the fuck is y'all?
So this is supposed to be the guy who is compelling us into an argument. This is the guy who conducts himself in this way. You can't make this stuff up, folks.
I'm talking about fucking law is innocent until proven fucking guilty, not guilty until proven innocent. When the fuck did that become a fucking law? The fuck, I still think it's motherfucking self-defense. Ain't no fucking judge saying y'all over here.
And I got to get into this. This is a little bit more of a nuance in the conversation. Why is it that you have, it's like baboon on baboon sort of support? Because there's a point of resonance, right? That has to be talked about. The enabler is oftentimes a person who either feels so much guilt that they feel, oh man, I have to do something. Like if you have a parent who enables a child or whatever it is, they don't want to feel their own negative emotions. And so they try to salvage what they can and control the external factors. But then there's also this part. There are people who condone this sort of behavior because they themselves see themselves in it. Like this guy sees himself as Karmelo Anthony, not the Hooper, who I feel bad for because his name has just been drugged through the mud at this point. But this guy right here is a Karmelo Anthony, or sees himself as like, if I was in that situation, I would want this and this and this. That's why they can't empathize outside of that. It's kind of like when, something happens to a woman in a relationship and the men are seeing it from their side and siding with the dude, even if he's dead ass wrong. And a woman, does something foul to a man and the women are siding with her and the story doesn't matter. It's that sort of affinity. I would want the same thing done for me sort of nonsense. And so that's interesting to see. I mean, this guy, it's very hard to listen to. I mean, every word is the F word and blah, blah, blah. Like I'm no prude or nothing like that. But yeah, he obviously doesn't have the ability to articulate himself, but I do get what he's saying. I get like the in between the lines. He's basically saying, no matter what, this dude has to be innocent. Because multiple sources have already reported that on those tapes, it does not show what was essentially being stated by Karmelo's team. And mind you, the police report of that night, Karmelo came up to a police officer and said, basically, like, am I going to get in trouble for this? Can this be considered as a self-defense? He was trying to create a defense in that moment. But what the video is showing that there was no provocation of this sort of act. There was no fight that took place and he had to defend his life. He was being bullied or whatever. He literally went into the other camp's tent. He went into their side. But again, we will allegedly, we will continue to let this unfold. But I wanted to show y'all the mentality that goes into this. This would be a non-case if it was a black boy taking another black boy's life. It would not only be a non-case, it would be a non-story. They wouldn't want to report on that because it doesn't serve the narrative. It doesn't serve, this socialist, Marxist, more so than anything else, Marxist agenda that's being pushed of continuing to make black and brown people or others the oppressed so they can be mobilized for voting purposes. That's what's really going on a larger scale. And therefore, to make the white man the enemy, the enemy, the enemy. You always need an enemy when it comes to Marxism. And it's ironic because, as I got back into like, what was BLM actually? BLM is an anti-family. And the family unit is the one thing that has been completely destroyed within the black culture that can be pointed to as the foundational reason of why we are where we are. The father being pulled out the household. So they're anti-family, and they are run by these Marxists, like clear, open, in the air, socialist Marxists. Lesbians, if you want to put on top of, anything else, if that means anything or adds any sort of context. But these are the people who created the so-called Black Lives Matter, which is why you never see a narrative that says, hey, black boys are having their lives taken, black girls are having their lives taken in Baltimore, in DC, right? In some of these ghettos, in Atlanta, Chicago. You never hear about that. Oakland, or what Palo Alto once was until they cleaned that place up. You don't hear about that. You don't hear about it because it's not a part of the narrative. The narrative that needs to be pushed in order for them to profit and to continue to usurp power is that the white man is the one that's doing this to you. So when it's vice versa and it becomes a big trial like this, they have to victimize the black man, even if it is the most nonsensical thing. This young man right here, he has the spirit of BLM on him. It's a hateful, extremist, black supremacist ideology and mentality. We stand behind what's wrong no matter what. That's standing on business, unfortunately. We stand behind what is wrong no matter what. There is no convincing these people. There is no convincing them. And so there is only delineation, quote unquote, or separation from them. Don't try to save them. Don't try to jump up in there. That's what the white liberal, they're the ones who get their asses dragged for real, because they're the ones trying to be the savior of these people. They continue to perpetuate the very same infantilized mentality, but then they also try to step in as a savior. Step away. Don't even deal with them. Keep crossing to the other side of the street. I condone that. Oh, he a racist. Okay, cool. Go to the other. I'm profiling. If I see something that looks sus, I'm going to make the assumption that it is likely that. And I'd rather be wrong than be right and have not done anything because of it. I see this dude coming up in this camp. I am going to suspect that he is going to be a threat, because Austin Metcalf is no longer here. His life was taken for nothing, because life means nothing to these people. So separate yourself. Do not be afraid of being labeled as a racist or a white supremacist or this or that or whatever you may be, every ethnicity, because everybody sees it, including black folk. Everybody sees it. These specific people need to be weeded out, and they need to live in the midst of each other. Just as Brother Thomas Sowell talks about in his book, Black Rednecks, White Liberals. Leave them alone. When you had that redneck culture, leave them the hell alone. Leave them to basically tear one another apart until they figure it out. Simple. And if that means that I have to be essentially completely and absolutely absolved of my quote unquote black card, I'm perfectly fine. I'm okay just being human. I'm okay just being a child of God. I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't need anything else to define me. But one thing I'm not going to do is continue to just stand by like most people are who look like me. Oh, well, what really happened? And when you get the verdict and when you get that sentencing, then y'all about to be out there protesting again. No justice for the black man. What about your humanity? Where's your humanity? Where's your concern for the young man whose life was taken? Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Now, if you'd like to stay around, make sure to click that little subscribe button down there, or you can show some love by going to the description below and clicking on the button titled Buy Me a Coffee. Leave a little something there, or click on the Cash App. Leave a little something here. Till the next time, peace.
I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 3-6-5, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up, you know them constellations. Constantly gazing like house of praises, you get to praising.